If you're South African, you probably know how vital the taxi industry is to the South African economy. Taxis in the country transport 15 million people per day to and from work. That's right, 15 million people per day, with 283,000 taxis, and not a single taxi is owned by the state. Now, if you understand capitalism, you can easily see that this is a billion rand industry. I mean, if a single taxi makes a profit of around 300 rand per day, then an owner has 15 taxis. That's easily 4,500 rand per day. And that's 45,000 in 10 days and 135,000 in a month. This is the type of income that rivals any high earning career, and some owners own hundreds of taxis. So I'll let you do the math on how much they could be making. The taxi industry is also infamous for a lot of violence. Don't get me wrong, violence finds itself in many places and businesses, but within the taxi industry, it's more brazen and overt. Not for nothing, money generally corrupts many people, and we know money and power is something that most people will do anything to obtain, grow, and retain. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the Gaba brothers. That name is practically a buzzword at this point. They originally hail from KZN in the Kranskop region. Their father is Simon Gaba, the family patriarch, who was the genesis of the family fortune. He operated businesses in Umlazi and is one of the earliest people who made a mark in the taxi business in KZN, Durban to be specific, having taxis that operate from around Durban and into the Kranskop region. But one name that seems not to be mentioned in recent years is the Ntuli name. If you're around Durban in the 80s and 90s, you are probably familiar with the name Big Ben. Big Ben was one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the transport business. He also came from the Kranskop region in KZN. He also stayed in Intuzuma Township, Durban. His fleet was branded with the name Big Ben. His fleet included buses as well. Big Ben made a chunk of money. You see, he even had luxury cars. Most people who did well back in those days would probably have a nice Toyota Cressida, but not Big Ben. He had a Lexus LS 400. Now that car was the car that Toyota developed in order to compete with Mercedes S-Class and BMW 7 Series. It was a big status symbol. That's the car that put Lexus on the map. This is a clear indication of how much money the taxi industry was generating even back then. But with money comes power, and power comes with a lot of problems and conflicts. You see, taxis work with routes, and some routes generate more money than others. But the trick is that these routes are exclusively designated for specific taxi associations. Thus means at times different taxi associations fight for the exclusive right to operate in a specific area. You see, Big Ben is one of the people who are credited for formalizing the structure of taxi associations. He played a pivotal role in professionalizing the business of taxis. But as usual, no story is complete without its shortfalls. Of course, there were fights, rival taxi associations had wars that claimed lives and caused havoc. Now, in 1994, the government launched a commission of inquiry for the KZN taxi industry. In the commission, it was reported that Ntuli would always have 3 guns on his person and a rifle in his car, every single day. According to Sipho Zwane, a taxi driver, he and about 70 members belonging to the same association as Big Ben headed to KwaMaphumulo to shoot at the Maphumulo Taxi Association, who had prevented them from driving through the area. In the commission, it was reported that initially the Gaba family was well connected, but they answered to Big Ben, and they answered to the association that was linked to Big Ben. But reportedly, things turned sour either after or before Simon Gaba was killed. During the commission, members of different associations alleged that hitmen were paid up to 100,000 to kill rivals who were feared and respected in the business. Things got so bad that Big Ben eventually had to sneak in whenever he went to Kranskop. He ultimately fled the country and went into hiding in Swaziland. This is where he contracted malaria and eventually passed on. But what I find concerning is that whenever the taxi industry is mentioned, the negative part is oftenly highlighted a lot. But what is not highlighted is the fact that it is the backbone of South Africa's economy. Without the taxi industry, the country's workforce is and will be stranded, but the image of operating in the industry is one that is looked down upon and often not treated with the respect that is in line with its significance. I mean, if you look at the Gaba family, they have become very successful in the business world by continuing where their father left off. They ventured into different industries and it seems they're doing well. According to my research, it seems as if Big Ben's family was not as lucky with continuing where he had left off. But that's the nature of business. Things get like that and it happens across all sectors. Basically, my intention with this report was to give a balanced view of the taxi industry and some examples of icons within it that had a hand in establishing and professionalizing it as a business. You see, other businesses only receive good PR and are never under scrutiny with their shortcomings. The taxi industry is insanely lucrative, especially if you have a good amount of startup capital. With a few adjustments, maybe if things became less risky with regards to the violence, I think it's one of the best businesses to go into and invest in, considering the returns. And also, if you scale it, it has the biggest potential of making you a lot of money. If you remember, there's an interview where former Minister Bheki spoke about taxi owners, especially one that is named Getsemane, who owns 1,000 taxis. I mean, that's insanely lucrative. I mean, if we use my previous estimates, if he has 1,000 taxis, that's easily 200 to 300,000 daily profits. And yes, disclaimer, this is just an estimate, but it goes to show the lengths of how much money there is to be made in the taxi industry. Thanks for watching. Make sure you come back and tune in for something else.